Good evening. The U.S. Supreme Court has overturned the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling that guaranteed a constitutional right to abortion. Breaking news tonight at 6, South Dakota Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg has been convicted in an impeachment trial and is removed from office. Good evening, everyone. I'm Stella Daskalakis. Yes, Matt, we couldn't even get near Pierce because we were told you cannot go in or out of the town. And at that news conference earlier today in Norfolk, emergency management officials say there are so many unknowns in this process. In fact, we came to you about 15 minutes ago, and in that 15 minutes, the clouds have come out. And I may look like I'm standing next to a river or a lake, but I'm not actually. I am standing next to farmland where water has overtaken the farmland and the roads. A local husband and wife chose to make sacrifices for their country. They didn't do it at the same time, but together they got through it.
Everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Breen.
And I'm Stella Daskalakis. Nebraskans are going to the polls today to fill the seat vacated by Congressman Jeff Fortenberry. I think he's cute, and we need to see the beauty in everyone.
Yeah, you do, too.
We do. He's cute.
I'm all concerned about the owner because the owner calls him magnificent. But who entered him in the contest?
That's a good question.
Probably the owner.
It's an honor.
It's kind of a two-faced thing going on there, isn't it?
Plus, lawmakers sent a gun reform measure with the most significant changes in decades to the president's desk. And financial experts take a closer look into a possible gas tax holiday. News 4 Live at 5 starts now.
From KTIV, Siouxland's news channel, this is News 4 Live at 5.
Good evening. The U.S. Supreme Court has overturned the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling that guaranteed a constitutional right to abortion. The ruling came in a dispute over a 2018 law passed by Mississippi's Republican-controlled legislature that banned abortions after 15 weeks. The court ruled 6-3 to uphold the Mississippi abortion ban being challenged in the case, and the High Court ruled 5-4 to overturn Roe. Decisions on abortion are now left up to individual states, about half of which have already indicated they will move to ban the procedure. In the majority opinion, Justice Samuel Alito wrote that the court's decision in Roe sparked a national controversy that has embittered our political culture for a half-century. In their dissent, Justices Stephen Breyer, Elena Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor said the court reverses course today for one reason and one reason only, because the composition of this court has changed. We have live Team 4 coverage tonight. Claire Bradshaw has reaction from Planned Parenthood. Haley Barris takes a closer look at the safe haven laws in all 3 Siouxland states. And Nick Reese is in downtown Sioux City, where a pro-life celebration is taking place following today's decision. But we begin with a breakdown of today's Supreme Court decision. A majority of the Supreme Court justices ruled in favor of a Mississippi law, and in doing so, ruled abortion should not be protected under the Constitution. KTIV Washington Bureau reporter Peter Zampa has more on the historic decision. Siouxlanders are reacting to the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. KTIV's Nick Reese is in downtown Sioux City, where the Knights of Columbus are holding what they are calling a pro-life celebration following today's Supreme Court decision. Nick, tell us what's happening where you are. Thank you very much, Nick. In Iowa, abortion is still legal 20 weeks after fertilization and requires an ultrasound and parental notification for minors. A decision by the Iowa Supreme Court that requires a 24-hour waiting period before an abortion goes into effect next month. But Planned Parenthood said it would immediately put into effect the law. Governor Kim Reynolds would need to call a special session to enact any stricter abortion legislation. Governor Reynolds tweeted her support of the Supreme Court's decision this morning, but did not allude to a special session. Abortion is still legal in Nebraska up to 22 weeks after fertilization. A 24-hour waiting period is required with counseling. There is a ban on telemedicine for abortion medicine, and parental consent is required for minors. In a CNN interview in May, Governor Pete Ricketts said he would push for a special session if Roe v. Wade was overturned. When asked today, he told our news partners if he can get the votes, he will. The Nebraska unicameral tried to pass a trigger law this past session, but it did not advance. And in South Dakota, abortion is now illegal. KTIV's Claire Bradshaw talked with the regional Planned Parenthood president on the heels of today's news. Thank you, Claire. We have the full breakdown of how today's Supreme Court decision affects each Siouxland state, along with the rest of the country. Head over to KTIV.com for more information. Pro-life advocates say there are alternative options to having an abortion. They call attention to the safe haven law. It varies from state to state. So what does it mean in Siouxland? KTIV's Haley Barris tells us more. Haley? Thank you, Haley. And as we mentioned off the top tonight, the Supreme Court's ruling means decisions on abortion are now left up to individual states. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds said in a statement today, quote, "As governor, I won't rest until every unborn Iowan is protected and respected," end quote. Just last week, an Iowa Supreme Court ruling reversed a 2018 ruling that said the right to an abortion was protected by the state constitution. Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts says the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe is, quote, "an answer to millions of prayers on behalf of the unborn and a victory for human life," end quote. Ricketts went on to say he will work with legislative leaders to determine what more they can do to protect preborn babies. And in South Dakota, a trigger law already in place made abortion illegal in the state when Roe versus Wade was overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem said today's decision, quote, "will save unborn lives in South Dakota, but there is more work to do. We must do what we can to help mothers in crisis know that there are options and resources available for them," end quote. Sioux City resident Tricia Newton, a sergeant in the Iowa Army National Guard, spent a combined year minus 1 day in Qatar and Afghanistan. Her husband, Andy Newton, served in Afghanistan a few years ago. We recently caught up with Andy and Tricia, who are reunited and back safe and sound, to talk about their often dangerous and difficult journey and the moments during their service that stand out for them. Tricia Newton's deployment started in Qatar, where she served as a battalion medic on the team tracking medical evacuations and hospital stays, among other responsibilities. She also made sure if American soldiers were injured, they could get the care they needed when they returned home.
After some time in Qatar, though, I got relocated to Bagram Airfield.
It was the hub for the 20-year war in Afghanistan.
I served with the soldiers that I deployed with as their line medic, taking care of them when they were out on their guns, ensuring their health and welfare at all times, treating any injuries, illnesses, or diseases within my scope as a medic.
Her husband, Andy, also served in Afghanistan about a decade ago.
I spent most of my days either driving truck, running supply missions, or pulling security at our post.
It's been a while since Andy was in Afghanistan, but every day for 364 days, via computer or phone, he communicated with Tricia, who was a 7,055-mile flight away in a war-torn country.
Yeah, I was afraid every day. I mean, in a combat zone, you know, how are you not?
Helping the soldiers and others who came in with combat injuries wasn't easy for Tricia, even after going through drills to prepare for it.
But until your hands are on that patient and it's someone's life that's truly in your hands to treat with a great team, it's overwhelming at first. But you get in a routine, you trust your team, and then you see progress when your patients start to heal. That's reassuring that you know how to do your job.
Tricia touched down on Iowa soil at the end of July, but part of her remains in Afghanistan.
Happy to be home, so blessed to be home, but it's been hard to not be present and watch it unfold on TV.
One of the nurses with whom Tricia worked at the end of her deployment was sent to Kabul and was there during the American withdrawal.
She sent texts of asking for prayers, asking for words of encouragement.
Those prayers worked because her friend made it safely out of Kabul.
I don't want to see that happen anymore. I wish the best for the local citizens of Afghanistan, but at the same time, I don't want any more of our U.S. Service members in harm's way.
The soldiers, the Marines, the airmen that are there, they are and have done everything humanly possible they could to make this as good as they could.
Tricia says, especially after the last year of her military service, she has gained a new sense of gratefulness. Although she plans to remain with her Guard unit, she is taking on a new civilian job and is thrilled to spend the holidays at home this year. Andy looks forward to Tricia's excellent cooking, getting back to a sense of normalcy and spending some quality time with his wife. During this Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we caught up with 2 local doctors and a breast cancer survivor. They remind everyone to stay up to date on their breast cancer screenings to catch cancer early before it ever enters the advanced stages. Zoolander Candace Burrell says that important screening saves her life. Candace Burrell, a busy professional, wife, and mother, says initially she was just too busy to go in for her mammogram.
I had a mammogram scheduled for myself in May. I got busy at work, decided, I'm going to cancel that today. I don't have time for that.
She says breast cancer was never on her radar.
Saw my Dr. Aldridge in July. She reminded me, Candace, you're overdue for your mammogram. You've got to get that done.
And at 41, Burrell received some news she says she never expected. In fact, she learned a genetic mutation of the breast cancer gene is part of her family history.
I had my mammogram, and I was called a few days later. They wanted me to come back. We found 4 microscopic tumors the size of the tip of a pin that they said I wouldn't have felt for years. I caught my cancer at stage 1 because I had a mammogram.
Mammograms are one of those things that hopefully we catch problems before they become a problem. So even if you're not having any symptoms, lumps or bumps, that's really the best time to get your mammogram done so we can catch things again before they become problematic.
Doctors say those screenings should start at 40 to 50 years of age. But talk to your doctor to make sure what's right for you.
It's nothing to be scared about. We should be scared about things that we don't know. This is one of the things that you can control. Knowledge is power. Get your mammogram done. Get that reassurance after it's done and over that everything looks good.
Mammography got a lot better with digital, and it got a lot better after that with 3D. So now we're not only in the digital era, but in the 3D era, and things are a lot better as far as screening goes.
Burrell, who underwent successful treatment, says she is here today and able to be a mother to her children because she went in for a mammogram.
You're not too busy. Your life is important. If you don't go in, early detection is key. If I would have waited till I felt something, I likely could have been stage 3, stage 4 terminal. I wouldn't be here to see my son go to homecoming.
She also says she will spend the rest of her life reminding people to get their mammograms.
Your family, your coworkers, your church, your community needs you to not be busy. They need you to go take the time because you're important.
Doctors say if you've been putting off breast cancer screenings because of reasons that include being busy and COVID-19, now is the time to get in and get checked.
It's a few seconds of compression per breast per year to get the best images possible and optimize your health outcome.
You know, at this point, people have been vaccinated. We're taking every precaution as far as masking goes, making sure we're keeping sick people isolated to themselves in the clinic. So now's really the time to get in to get your preventative health screenings done, making sure we're taking care of all those chronic conditions as well.
Burrell says she convinced a coworker to go in for a screening, and that coworker was diagnosed with stage 0 breast cancer. Now, every year on her birthday, she and her children give back to the community, which serves as a reminder for people to get screened. To learn more about essential cancer screenings and when to get them, check out the health page at ktiv.com under the News tab.